Oh,
Hi, everybody. Can you guys see us? Let me know in the comments if you can see us and hear us clearly. Hi,
hello.
yeah, hello, welcome, welcome. Hi, Desiree. Hi, Nija. Hi, Moak. I think that's how you say your name. You said, "Am I first? I'm so ready for this." Welcome. Hi, April. Make sure you guys, if you're not following Tasha already, please go on over and follow her. Let me put this right in her channel, right in the comments. Mind your money. Hi, D versus Dead. Hi, April. Okay, so everybody can see. All right, perfect. So I'm going to start. I have my book. I have my book right here. And I'm really excited about this. I'll tell you this, guys. A couple of you guys asked me why I picked Tasha's book, and I haven't even actually talked to Tasha about this. But when I was going through making my what I'm going to read, watch, or listen to for the month of April, I was like, I really would like to find something from somebody in our neck of the woods, something that's real, that's, like I can connect to, that I can relate to. And I remember watching one of Tasha's videos, and she's like the queen of expense tracking. If you guys did not know this, girlfriend tracks every penny. And I remember scrolling through her description and I saw, oh my goodness, she wrote a book. And so, of course, I was going through her website and I saw the book, and I have my book right here. It was a great read. I loved it. And it was really a way for me to give back to not just this community, but to Tasha, who's a sweetheart to, I mean, like all of us, and
That make me
someone who we
cry.
all know. So it was seriously like when I saw it, I was like, that is going to be my pick. I didn't even tell her ahead of time. I told her when I posted the video, I sent her a DM like, your book is what I'm reading for the month. And would you like to go live with me at the end to talk about it? And she was like, yeah. So I'm glad to see a lot of you were on board with that you supported her. And so I wanted to welcome Tasha to the live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this wonderful book that you wrote. And I'm ready. I'm excited. I couldn't even sleep last night. I was like, I'm ready for this live. I'm ready for this live. So welcome, Tasha.
Thank you, Shelise. That was
So
beautiful. Listen, don't make me cry, okay? You know I'm easy to cry. Don't make me cry. I appreciate that.
oh, you're very
Hey,
welcome.
everybody.
So, okay, let's get right into this now. I have some questions here. So if you see me looking down, we got to stay on script. I can ramble. So I'm trying to, keep it together. But we're going to talk about her book. And if you guys have any questions, there are some moderators in the chat. So if there is a question that one of the moderators need us to see, or need Tasha to like really answer, you want us to see it because the chat can go by fast, put like an asterisk next to, copy and paste someone's comment and put an asterisk next to it so that we can see it and I can put it up on the screen and Tasha can answer it, because I know that some of you may have questions and things of the like. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so Tasha, tell us a little bit, especially for those who are new, who are just finding you. Tell us a little bit about Tasha and your financial journey.
Okay. Well, my name is Tasha. You guys know that. I'm married to a wonderful husband. He's working a double shift, so he's not here to show his face, and he probably wouldn't anyway, because I am more comfortable on the camera than my husband is. So whenever I say, I'm really talking about us. We have three boys. I have a teenager. I've got a two-nager, and I've got a four-nager. They all stress me out, but I love them dearly. Um, they're the reason why I push so hard and I try to stay as consistent as possible, because it's important to stay on task with your budget. When you start a financial journey, it does not get easier. It gets harder. It gets more complicated because it's not just the numbers anymore. Then you start thinking about your why and the importance behind it. So I am really just intense about it, because it's a hard journey. So I try to stay as consistent as possible. I think I post a lot of videos, but I do it because I feel like it's necessary to have that well, no, when I started YouTube, when I started Facebook, I'm so nervous. When I started YouTube, posting videos was a way for me to keep a document of how we're doing. But then people started commenting, and I got connected to you and so many other people, and it felt like an extended family in a sense. I could come here and share these personal things, and people are like cheering you on and say way to go and good job, and give you, little criticisms here and there to help you move forward. So I'm almost like, I really need this as a way to just keep going and hopefully inspire other people. So I love Jesus. I love God. So I'm completely a Jesus girl. And I try to make sure that I share as much as of myself as possible so it can be authentic, because the numbers don't lie. But then sometimes, we tend to get a little FOMO going on. So I try to be as honest and as open as I can, because this is a real journey for me. But I love personal finance, and I love chocolate. I'm 5'2", and that's about it.
We have a lot of things in common, Tasha. I'm a chocolate person as well. I'm 5'4", maybe 5'3" and some odd inches. And I can tell you, I love watching your journey because, like you said, you're so transparent, which is so, coming from, especially how we grew up, minority backgrounds, finances period was not something talked about, and being able to find someone who was like a breath of fresh air, who was honest and open, the good, the bad, the ugly when it came to their money, that was consistent. I'm glad to have met you in this YouTube space and YouTube land. So it was great getting to know you. And guys, if you are new to Tasha, if you're just discovering her, make sure you go over and follow her at Mind Your Money. I put it in the chat. One of the moderators can put it in again. Make sure you go on over and follow her. Okay. So let's move on, Tasha. What inspired you to write this book? Because I'm telling you, it was like a read in 2 days for me. I loved it. I was writing down notes and getting to know you more. So what inspired you to write this specific book?
Well, I want to say it was the struggle as I was facing in 2019. I had just had my now 2-year-old. I had him, and I was going back to work from maternity leave. In where I worked at, my employer did not offer maternity pay. So basically I had to go through the state to get like family leave or whatever, but they only paid for half of my time. So I stayed off for 12 weeks. So going back in September of 2019, my husband was transitioning from his job. We were both transitioning from an organization that we were connected to that we had to separate from. So there was a lot of emotional things going on. And going back to work now, I have 2 kids in daycare, $1,600 a month. We had nothing in savings. It was like, and then going back to work, I had to catch up because, we were behind. So I was frustrated. I mean, just had a baby. I went through a little bout of postpartum depression. He was still nursing. So you can imagine, it was just stuff on stuff on stuff that was happening. And backtrack just a little bit. In 2016, going into 2016, one of my desires was to start a business, start getting side income, because I wasn't married then. It was just me and my oldest son. But I was like, I have to do something other than work this full-time job. So I started a business with Chloe and Isabel. I got my notary public license. I started doing all these different things. And then, moving into 2016, and then we got engaged, then we got married. So then, we were honeymooning for a good while. And I kind of, the fire kind of died down. But in 2019, with all that was going on, I said, we've got to do something better. Like, we've got to manage this money. And we were both hurting because of some things that going on personally with the organization we were with. So it took some time to heal, get past it. But then I said, we've got to get serious. $5 in our savings account can't cut it. Yeah. And we're being charged. And at the same time, I got a bank statement. We paid $900 in overdraft fees in a year. I literally cried, and I said, no, this can't be. So I started to look. I asked God, what can I do to help make this better? Because again, my husband transitioned here from another country. We just left this organization. He's now moving, switching jobs, and we just had this baby. So we got a whole lot going on. We have to move forward. So I said to him, you know what, we're going to start an automatic transfer of $5 every month into our emergency fund. And then I started writing down like what was supposed to be a blog, ended up being the book, because I wanted a way to encourage other people. You can start where you are and just make little habits to change. And then I thought it was going to go on my website. I created the website first. I started another YouTube channel. It's a different one. And I worked on it. And then all of a sudden I started researching how to write this book, how to write a book, how to publish a book. And I found a video on YouTube that a guy was telling you, walking you through how to do it on KDP for free. So Kindle Direct Publishing. So when I wrote it out, I thought it was going to be for the blog, but it was too long. And I just felt the urge to make it into a book. So I went on to KDP. I found out how to do it after I uploaded the Microsoft document, and then just boom. I was like, this is easy. This is easy. But it came from a place of, I was desperate to get out of that place where we didn't know what we were doing. We've got to make a change. We've got to start budgeting better. We've got to start managing our money. We've got to stop letting it control us in the way that we think we have to hold on to every single dollar. We just have to manage it. So I hope I'm answering your question, because I feel like I'm rambling.
Girl, no, you're not.
Okay.
You are such a storyteller, Tasha. I love that you paint a picture for us, because like you said, when you have, a lot of people think when you're on this journey, you're starting at this high place. A lot of us come from overdraft fees and robbing Peter to pay Paul and bounce checks and payday loans, and to see your journey from that to an investor, to a business owner, an author. I mean, it's inspiring listening to you. So that actually goes into another question that I had for you, which was in the book. On the first page, you said that earning money is easy, right? And spending money is easy, but managing money, and like you just talked about, it takes a lot of work. So what tips do you have for those who, like up on the screen, the comment that was left by, let me put it back up. It was Amy. She was saying how, let me go back right here. She says, thank you. I've been lost for so long, and she needs some realistic guidance. So coming from the queen of expense tracking, do you have any tips for those who feel like they're in that position right now of they got to fix it, they got to get it right? What could you tell some of those people?
Okay. One thing I would say, the very first thing I did was automate our savings. $5. That was all we could. I think sometimes we couldn't barely afford that, but you can start with something. $5 every week from your check-in to your savings. Start right there, because that was automatic. My husband was like, $5. What is that going to do? That's only $20 a month. 25 if you get an extra week. But I said, we have to start somewhere. And that way it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I think starting small with a small number is good, because you still start doing that until you can make a budget. Creating a budget is absolutely easy. It really is. It's the easiest part, because all you're doing is looking at everything that you bring in and then everything that you spend, and then you have to subtract them. It takes a while to sit down, maybe a good hour every week. Just sit down, go through your bank statements or your online banking, and start looking at how much did I actually make, and then how much did I spend. Everything. So then you can start to see, okay, maybe I'm spending too much eating out here, or maybe I'm spending too much going shopping here. I can cut back a little bit. Or you can see, maybe I'm paying too much for electricity or cable or whatever, or, maybe I need to reevaluate my debts and things like that. That's the first step would be to automate a savings. Do it now. Start $5 just every Friday or every first of the month, whenever you get paid, put it away. And that will build up over time. But then as soon as you get all of your bank statements, or you look online, you see what you have coming in, what's going out, then you create a budget from that. And then you can see, maybe I can put an extra $10 a week or 20 or whenever you get paid, because I used to get paid weekly. That's an easy way to get started. And that's how I got started. And then it just grew over the last year and a half. 2 years now.
Yeah, those are some good tips. And you got any more?
There was I wrote some of my.
It's okay. It's okay. Tasha, you're doing great.
Okay. So, where was I? Oh, just give me a minute. I'll give you some juice. Sorry.
It's okay.
What when I found out we had over $900 paid in fees, I told my husband we have to take some of this money. His family member was helping him out because remember he was transitioning from one job to the next, right? So they sent us some money. And normally the first thing that happens when you get a little windfall, money from a family member, tax refund, whatever, you're like, okay, well, let's pay some bills or let's spend it or let's go, YOLO it up.
Yeah.
I said, no, exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take this money, put it into the savings account. That is now our emergency fund, guys. It used to just be a regular savings. I said, let's put it in that bank because what you want to do is avoid any overdraft fees, any minimum balance fees. So the bank that we had together, whenever our balance fell below a certain limit, they would charge us $15. And that was happening every month. So $15 over the course of 12 months, it does add up. On top of that, overdrafts from the checking account if you weren't paying attention to what's in there. So one thing I thought about is, hey guys, if you don't have like the app on your phone for your bank, or if you don't use online, start. At least download the app.
Yeah.
And every morning when you wake up, take a look at it. And then have a calendar. You can have your calendar on your phone. You can put it a regular 12-month calendar on your wall somewhere where you live, so that you can open up the bank, write down all your due dates and stuff like that. It takes a little time, but it's worth it. Write them all down somewhere where you can see it. Look at the app, see, okay, I have $400 in my account. This bill is coming out on the next day. So you'll know automatically how much you have to spend.
Yeah.
And then just 3 times a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, take a look at it real quick, because we always have our phones now.
Yeah.
So it's easy to look. That way you're keeping track. Even if you're not going to sit down with like pen and paper every day, or if you're too busy, the app is easy to say, okay, I have this pending, and these are the bills due. And then you start there. And then you'll start to see patterns.
It's okay.
Okay.
That we all have, real mom life.
That's your 4-year-old, 4-nager. Exactly. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
Come here. Come here. Yeah, he's not coming. Hold on.
It's okay.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
And while Tasha's handling the babies, and again, with real life, right? If I have a almost 16-year-old, so I know how it is to have little toddlers or teenagers, as she said. But just to add on what Tasha said, you would be so surprised and one of the reasons why I keep talking about Tasha being the expense tracking queen is because when we first started our financial journey, I cannot tell you how much money we spent going through somebody's drive-through. Now, you know how I always say in my videos that, personal finance is personal. You got to do what you got to do. But I'm telling you, outside of subscriptions, I think for us, eating out was the biggest money waster in our budget. And the thing was that we had a set of, amount of money each side to, get takeout or something like that. But it just transitioned to, getting coffee in the morning and a donut. Then you're going by Panera to get a sandwich and a salad. And then you're tired after work, so you're going through a drive-through or you're ordering pizza. And one of the tips that I can give you, Amy, is to try to meal prep. I know sometimes meal prepping can be tedious. I even have splurged in the past on like Home Chef or Blue Apron. Love them because it really opened my eyes to, the fact that I don't have to just eat, rice, chicken, and string beans. I can really have some nice, good meals at home. Tasha, I was just telling them that, a tip that I would add to your fabulous, tips that you gave to Amy and just to anybody in general was to, go through their budget and see where they're wasting money. For us, it was eating out. And a great way to combat that is to meal prep and try to find some good. I mean, you don't have to have the same thing every night, but it'll help prevent the constant, I always say, going through someone's drive-through. In the morning, I would go at lunch And then I was tired at the end of the day. So I was and you're eating out 3 meals 5 days a week. And you don't realize $1.99 adds up, six
It
ninety
sure
nine
does.
adds up. And I remember 1 month we spent $1,500 in just eating out. No groceries, McDonald's, Burger King, the
Wow.
local pizza place, Chinese food, and it really does add up. So, watch that spending, because, sometimes that is the source for the holes in our budget. Just like, and again, like you were talking about, and you talk about this on your channel a lot, Tasha, is a budget is not meant to be restrictive. You can set aside money to eat out or to get your coffee, but
Mhm.
if it's every day, like constant, one way that we've been able to overcome is to meal prep it. And sometimes you may have to splurge and get like, Blue Apron, something that can jazz up your meals. But definitely look into that area, Amy, because that's a budget buster for, I think, a lot of people. A lot of
For
people.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Have
So yeah,
breakfast
go
for
ahead.
dinner sometimes.
Yeah.
Make it exciting. Say, oh, we having pancakes tonight. You can get that quick little box and add some water, put a little lemon, vanilla in it, sweet. That's it. Just
Yeah.
just as a way to get through the monotony of always having to make the same thing. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't have enough time. So
Yeah.
pancakes are easy.
Yeah. And debt-free dad, or Marcus said, I've been back at the office for 1 month and he hasn't purchased lunch yet. So go ahead, bro. Okay, do the
That's
thing,
right.
because it is very expensive to eat out now. And speaking of that, Tasha, as a fellow woman of the home, a wife, a mama, why do you feel that women in particular, and I also agree with this statement. I know I'm going to agree with everything that you say about it. But why do you feel like women in particular need to have a bigger say so or voice, and not just their personal finances, but their family finances as well? Because this is an important topic, especially when it comes to women in the household.
Right. Women need their own money,
Yeah.
period. Because look at this. I was a single mother at one point
Hmm.
with a 2-year old, and his father did nothing to help me.
Hmm.
And I was depending on him to give me something, if not for me,
Hmm.
because I was his wife at some point, at least the child, but sometimes it don't happen like that. We
Hmm.
get into situations, what it is, right?
Yeah.
But the important thing is women should always have their own money. I am in a blessed and very happy marriage. We all have our ups and downs, but we're in a happy marriage. I know my husband is going to provide and take care of me. But women should have money separate from the the spouse and separate from the family budget.
Yeah.
Because what happens if, God forbid, your partner, something happens to your partner, your husband, your wife, and they're going, women should have a backup plan. Not because you're fearing that something bad could happen, just because life is life. I got terminated twice from 2 jobs. In my 20s, in 2008, the whole recession, boom, we got laid off 2 months before I gave birth to my first child. And I was 23 years old, 24 years old. And I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a side job. I didn't have side income. I had nothing. And of course, I'm not going to get any benefits for the baby for being on maternity leave. So I'm unemployed with nothing. And I wasn't saving money. The second time, I was a territory manager maybe 6 months after my first child was born. But then after a year and a half being in the field, I did well. They terminated the position. They eliminated the position. So all the territory managers in that region got terminated. I
Mm.
didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have money saved. I didn't do, and I wasn't investing nothing. So no matter what, if you're in a relationship, if you're trusting on your parents, if you're relying on a family friend, you should still have your own money. That's why I said save your money, invest your money, be smart with it, don't waste it. Have fun, buy yourself clothes, do things to self-care for yourself, but always have your own separate from everybody else, because
Mhm.
you don't know what could happen. We plan and we do well with planning, but we don't know what could be happen around the corner.
Mhm.
And growing up, I used to hear a lot, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mhm.
And this kind of ties into that same thing about women should do. Don't have just one bank account with all your money in it. I had a joint bank account with an ex and he overdrew it.
Mhm.
And check systems will send you letters like you owe us XXX amount of money. And even though I didn't do it, I was still connected to it. And I
Yeah.
didn't have any other accounts. So this just, I'm sharing that to tell people, this is real.
Yeah.
You need to have your own separate somewhere else. One or two. When I started as a notary public, I opened up a separate account. I told my husband, I said, look, this is what I'm doing. Like, go on, do what you got to do. And whatever I earned, I put in that account and I kept it there because I knew in 2 years, every 2 years, I think you have to renew the license. I need money for that. So I want to make sure I'm putting money aside. Or maybe I want to buy myself a pair of shoes or, get a Starbucks ice latte or something.
Yeah.
I want to be able to have my own money. I don't want to touch the family's budget. I want to have my own. And like, that's really important because you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. If you lose a job, if the guy leaves, if mama passes away, you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not even so much being secretive, like you said, your hubby knows about it. And I've gotten comments on this before because my husband and I do have a lot of things joint. But he knows about everything I have. I not only know everything he has, I know all the passwords and logins he don't to all the
Same here. I got to write it down in the book. Like, this is where the book is. And he still asks me, what's the password? Okay.
So I 100% agree with you. And this actually goes into another kind of comment I wanted to ask you about. And you, in your book, you mentioned that budgeting is not scary, though for a lot of people, not even just your separate account, just the topic of getting on a budget or managing their money is super scary because they're fearful of it. They're confused. They lack understanding. Do you have like 2 tips for the beginners out there, those who are hesitant to kind of start? They want to do the own account thing. They want to write a budget out. They just have no clue. So school is Tasha. Let's help the community.
Well, I wrote that because I was scared, and I hope I don't know why. I think I was scared because I knew if I looked at that bank account, if I logged in, I would see a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, dang, or it would be in the red. You got the parentheses around the number. This is what's in your account. Like, God, and I don't have a backup plan. So it's scary, honestly, to look at everything you spent and say, dang, I spent that much money. I didn't realize I spent that much, but I only made this much. So at some point, there's going to be a negative. And that's the hard part. You have to face it, because if you're the one swiping the debit card or putting your numbers in online, you have to face you. It's like looking at the man or the woman in the mirror. Yes. I did this. So that's why I said it's hard. It can be hard because you can go out and work 80 hours a week. You can do all the side hustles and make all the money. It's like, oh, I got all this money. But then what do you do with it? So the first thing I started to do, again, I told you, I started automatic transfer, just $5 to start, to get us up there so we could stop paying those fees. And then I looked at what my husband was bringing in and what I was bringing in, because we do this together. I might be the one writing out the budget and bringing ideas and saying, look, we should do this or that. But, we are doing it together. So look at everything. Even if you're a single person, just look at what you have coming in from every single source. And then start from there. Start looking at and pay yourself first. So think about, that's why I said 3 months of bank statements will tell you how much money you transfer to your savings or how much money you spent on clothing or going out or whatever. That's fine. Look at it and see, okay, how much money do I need reasonably so that I can feed myself outside of just cooking at home or go out with my girlfriends or my family. And then that's how much you would budget for. Say, okay, I'm gonna budget for, I don't know, $100 a month just for me. That's my money. Okay, boom. And then you think, maybe I'll start with $20 a week saving. If you're just brand new starting out, $20 a week is what? 20, 40, 60, 80. We'll say 25, $100 a month. That's how much I want to save. And then you subtract that from your income, and whatever's left, that's what you're working with. To pay your bills, okay. All right. To pay your bills. Here, take that. Hold on a second. Where's your iPad? Where's your iPad, baby? Good. I know. I'm sorry. He's like, you want this? You're playing ABC Mouse, right?
Hi, Gab. Hi, Money with Gab.
Or take it, baby. No. Okay. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
So, what was I saying? Find out how much you want to save, how much you want for your money. When you subtract that from your income that you've already calculated, then you find, okay, this is how much I need for all of my fixed expenses, all the bills that I have to pay. I gotta pay Uncle Sam at some point. I've got to pay my mortgage or my rent. I got it, all those things, and then find out if you put money everywhere. Take care of whatever debts you have. It's really that simple. Like taking a notebook. This is. I don't know if you can see it, but this is an example of my notebook. I just write everything in a straight line. That's how I started. My income is this. I want to save this much. I want to give this much. I want to spend this much, and then what's left. And then you start calculating or subtracting, and then boom.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it gets. But then again, as you progress, you're going to start seeing trends, and you're going to say, you know what, but I want to buy a car or I want to get a house. And then that's when you start strategizing and setting goals. And then, you have to be a little more disciplined in your spending, but that's where you start. Income minus your savings, minus your spending money, minus all your bills.
And you know what, I 100% agree with you, Tasha. And it kind of goes into what Dee said. She said that she's a single lady, so it's tough. And I know there's a lot of people in our community who find budgeting scary that are single, or maybe they're in a relationship, but the other spouse, which we know can be challenging to, get on board sometimes. And this is why I love this community, because you could find accountability partners everywhere. I mean, if you think your situation is terrible, girl, there are like 100 other people showing their numbers. Like, yeah, I overspent this month, or this is where I'm starting at. This is how much debt that I have. So if you feel like budgeting is scary, go to Tasha's channel. I mean, she documented her whole student loan payoff. You can go back to the first video and follow it through to when she paid it off. So that way you can relate, because I think it takes a lot of fear out of it when you see the whole process of, oh my goodness, this is where they started and this is where they ended. So yeah, like I said, I agree with everything you said. Budgeting can be really scary. That's why I think a lot of people shy away from it. They feel like it's a lot, but I'm telling you, when you see your money work for you, it's something that Shy always says. She says it becomes addicting. Like, you want to know, you're like planning ahead. Like, I know I'm getting this check. I want my money here. I want it there. I want it, there. So yeah, I love it. I love it, Tasha. And speaking of that, budgeting allow us to do something that I think we really deep down want to do, but we feel like we can't, and that's giving, right? Giving to others, giving to our churches or our, spiritual locations, to families, homeless, things like that. And in the book, you spend a lot of time talking about giving and the importance of giving for your journey. So can you just tell us a little bit why giving is so important to you and your family?
Yeah, I have another story.
Tell the stories, girl.
I tell the story a lot because I think people want to hear the realness, and that's why you're here, right? I hope I'm not like boring you. Yes. So, I was a single parent. At one point, I was a single woman. And remember, I had gotten laid off from that job. I was working at an investment bank in Manhattan, and boom, 2008 came, and the whole department got outsourced. So that's why we were terminated. They gave us a really good severance package, all of that. But again, I was 24 years old. I had no understanding about building up your 401k, investing, none of that. I didn't even save money. I just spent it all. So, what the important thing is, because I left that job, I was working as a single mother at a McDonald's, and my checks were like $200 a week. And I was renting a room, which was $100 a week, which was cheap in New York City. And I had a 2-year-old at the time. He was my 2-year-old, my oldest now. He was 2 years old. So it was a lot. Plus, I still had to get to and from work. So I had to pay to catch a bus or it was a lot. So, oh my gosh, I'm rambling, I think. I forgot your question.
I was talking about giving.
Giving. But this is what happened. I was working at a McDonald's in Brooklyn, New York, and I was 20 something years old, 26 maybe. And my checks were not much. You can't work over a certain amount of time. He was still small, and I was thankfully had him with a family member. But I was budgeting my paycheck on my lunch break. You get 30 minutes. I sat down, I wrote, okay, my check was like $185, something weird like that. I said, I still got to pay rent. And my tithe is going to be $18.50, or maybe I'll bump it up to 19. I don't like that. Let me bump it up to 20. This is what I wrote it out on the back of my clock out slip. And I said, okay, $20 is my tithe, $100 to pay this lady for this room. Now, what do I have left? How am I going to work things out? Because I still have to feed him. I still have to get to and from work. And, I don't know what else could come up. And I have to keep some money in the account because I want to make sure I can buy a Metro card the next week. So I was sitting there, I said, God, I'm still going to give this because I believe you. I trust you. I had to. I was at the place where I need to, because this is not enough.
Yeah.
So I still did it. I wrote it out. I went back, clocked in. I tell you no lie. Within 20 minutes of me being back on the register, a stranger, a complete stranger, a customer I'd never ever seen before in my life, I promise to God, came up to me and gave me the exact amount of money I needed to take care of where I was short. Wow. Like I wasn't getting child support at that time from the guy. I was not getting spousal support or anything like that. I still had a cell phone. I needed to keep it on because I have to be able to call and find out what's going on with the baby. There were a lot of things that needed to be done. And this complete stranger walked up and gave me that. And I trusted that part because that part of giving, that tithing is important to me.
Yeah.
And he showed up. Now, when I didn't know where I was going to live or work, I still gave because I had to believe that me being obedient in this area, because to me, it's an obedient factor. I had to be obedient in that area, and me trusting that everything would work out for my good. It did. And then a couple of years down the line, fast forward, I got licensed as a property and casualty agent. I started working for a local agency. I got my life insurance license first, then property, and things just progressed after that. But I never stopped giving because I had to believe that God would open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that I don't have room enough to receive. Like that's where my faith lies. And then sometimes I met friends. I had friends along the way, and giving doesn't always have to be monetary because sometimes you really don't have it. If you don't have anything, if you have no income, give your time. So a friend of mine, she was trying to get a new job. She got a new job, but she couldn't afford to send her son to a sitter. So I volunteered when she asked me, and I said, okay, I'll watch your son for you. But she couldn't pay me because she just started a new job and I needed the money. But I know she was struggling at the point. So if a friend asks you, can you do this for me? I said, okay, I'll take time and I'll watch your son for you. Even when I had to work, we just worked it out.
Yeah.
And that brings blessings too, because when you give your time, you give to someone else in a certain way where you just open up the doors to be blessed anyway. Something or something's going to come through. So those are things I used to do. Like if someone asked me, can you do this for me? And I knew it was genuine, I would do it. So, okay, yeah, I'll help you. Because if I was in your position, I would need somebody to help me too. And that's why I think giving is so important, because it's not because, oh, if I give this, I know I'm just going to get something back. It's because I know that things are going to work out for my good. So that's why I just keep doing it. And, it happened. A complete stranger. I was blown away. I had to go in the back and I cried and I praised God and I said, wow, this is how you show up immediately. And it doesn't always happen that way, but there's always a blessing. There's always provision. There's always something coming. So even if you don't have a lot, you can still give a little. Don't think that it has to be this big number. It was $20. And then God works it out. Sorry.
Tasha, stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. Yes, but girl, your testimony is so powerful. And I think a lot of us can resonate. It's one thing about the world that we live in today. Everybody is so like me, I, and people don't realize somewhere along the line, somebody gave something to you. Somebody gave you a head start or gave you a lift somewhere. And it should only motivate us, especially as we excel in our finances, to give. Even if you, like you said, you can't give your money, you can give something back. Time, you can volunteer at an inner city school. I mean, like something, because for me anyway, I think it's almost like I am obligated to, because I've been blessed. I mean, just free lunches in school. I've had people pay for school trips. I mean, I've had people give us clothes, and they could have easily said, well, your mother got in this situation. She knew how to do, because sometimes we can get very like judgy, and we don't realize that all of us, somewhere down the line, somebody gave us something, somebody helped us out somewhere, somebody gave us a pass on something. I mean, we all can testify to that, whether you're religious or not. And I think and because somebody had told me this, like, why do you give so much? Well, you don't come from where I come. You don't know that, my husband and myself, as a young Black couple, my husband as a Black man in his industry, somebody believed in him to put a word out there. That's a form of giving. Like, I'm going to mention your name to somebody else, shouting out someone's channel, like, go follow this person. They have some good we don't, like you said, it don't have to be money. Just tag them, like them, share it, because what if it was us, right? We know how it feels to start out, and sometimes we forget. And I'm really working hard to teach my children that do not forget. Do not forget where mommy and daddy came from. I said something on one of my videos that Marcus talked about that I loved. And when I talked about my family is just 2 generations from the cotton fields. And he said he resonated with that because he has family who's still in the South, like mine, who, like I said, 2 generations removed from the cotton fields. And so somebody gave us a leg up. Somebody helped us. And it should motivate us, to do the same. Because like you said, God is good. And, if it wasn't for his grace, we would be in that same situation. So yes, I love it, Tasha. I love your stories. Stop saying you talk too much, because I love when you you share and things like that. And I know you mentioned before about paying yourself first. This is something that I started doing, I'll be honest, like a couple months ago, when it comes to my business, because, like you make money and you just put it all out, and it could be with just income coming in your household from your 9-to-5 job. And I know you talk about paying yourself and the importance of that in your book. And I love how you really kind of honed in on that concept and why we need to do it more as a group in this budgeting community. So can you talk about that a little bit, about the idea of paying yourself first, why it's so important to do it?
Yeah, of course. With the YouTube partner program, right? Google AdSense pays you every month. When you get monetized, it's like for some people it's a couple weeks. For others, it could be a year, 2 years, whatever. But there's a whole lot of work that goes into it. And if you're putting out that effort, you're putting it in for yourself and for whatever community that you're trying to grow. So that's a lot of hours of editing. First, coming up with ideas, finding out what you're going to share, figuring out your lighting, doing a whole bunch of things behind the scenes to get a 10, 15, 20-minute video. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So you should definitely pay yourself first. When you think about it, if you work a regular 9-to-5 job, a regular W-2 income, Uncle Sam takes theirs first. Before you, please stop that. Well, try again. Just turn on the light and try again. God. So they're going to take their money first. Then, FICA, SSI, whatever, they all going to take their money, and then they give you what's left. So if you're working for yourself, especially if it's a side income, even if it's a W-2, but specifically if it's a side income, pay yourself first. I decided 30% of whatever I make is coming to me. And then I said, okay, 25% is going to investing. And then we'll figure out taxes and all of that stuff after. That's how I like to do it, because I'm putting in the work. YouTube is a lot of work.
Oh, yes, it is, girl. Yes, it is.
It's a lot. So, I want to be able to get my nails done. Again, this is what I mentioned earlier, having your own money that's separate from the family budget, because when you want to do it, you should be able to go do it.
Yes. Tasha, I love it, girl. Like when I got my first YouTube paycheck, and for me, I was trying to make sure I set aside money, not for just the stock market, because I can get really addicted to that. But like you said, I want to go to the Chinese store just for me, like sit in the car, eat my food with the video playing on my phone. That's, to me, that's self-care. I want to
Yep.
have the money to do that. I want to pay myself for my business, and not just, even not like investing, which I love. I think y'all know I love it. But like you said, my nails, I want to get a coffee. Sometimes I'm going by McDonald's, I smell the fries, so I don't have to worry about it because I have
Hmm.
money that I worked hard for, and I'm loving it. So yes, I love that. I love that, Tasha. And just some comments here. Gab said, yes, I resonate with this so much.
Hey,
I'm telling you,
Gabby.
your, not just your journey, but I think the similarities in a lot of our journeys people can relate to, which when we talked about budgeting being scary, when you see, oh my goodness, Tasha went through this, Gabby went through this, Shelise went through this, Chris, Desiree, Tanya, all these people, if they can do it, I can do it too. So I love that. And I love that you talked about the importance of paying yourself, because girl, you too, especially when you edit a video and then you find out that you messed up something, the audio was off, or you're off center, or you
Yep.
upload it to YouTube and it's taken forever and you told people it's coming out the next day. It's like, yes.
The stress and the anxiety. Yeah, I'm paying myself first just for that. It's mine. It's coming to me first.
Yes. And you know what? This goes into the next thing I wanted to ask you about, which was money and psychology, because it really, like your name, mind your money. The two
Hmm.
really go hand in hand. I think a lot of people don't realize the psychological impact, the emotional impact that that we have on our money, or vice versa. A lot of past trauma, a lot of childhood issues that really affect the way we spend and view our money. And I wanted to be able to just to talk to you a little bit about this, because I know in your book you have, like, under the living happy section, you said that, and I'm just looking at it here. You said under your master your money, you said you tell it where to go and what you want it to do. Never let money control you. You control money. So can you elaborate on that, Miss Tasha?
Yes. Money can't give you your time back.
Yes.
So I was watching Chicago Med. I have another story. See, I
Tasha,
was
I love
watching
your
Chicago
stories.
Med, and I don't know if anybody out there has watched it. I'm like addicted to it. I love Chicago Med,
Mm-hmm.
Chicago PD, all of that. So there was one episode where an old, well, I'm gonna say old. She was over 60. She
Mm-hmm.
was in the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. They did all the testing and whatnot to find out that she was eating cat food. And they were trying to figure out, why is she doing that? She must have a money problem, but she was too proud to say, I don't have enough to pay for food. And then as the story unraveled, they found that her neighbor came in to check on her, and her neighbor was like, she was trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
because her neighbor had these fancy handbags and jewelry and whatnot. So she was selling her prescriptions for money just so she could buy the bag and get her hair done and do all the, and it was extreme. And
Wow.
she, to the point she was eating cat food because she had
Mm-hmm.
no food in her house because she couldn't afford it, because she was trying to keep up appearances with her neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking to myself that there's a correlation there, because your money is basically forcing you, your mindset about
Mm-hmm.
money, because money is like, it can be anything. It could be a
Yeah.
block of cheese, it could
Mm-hmm.
be whatever, and then as long as you're exchanging it for goods and services, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was putting herself in a position of nearly dying just so she could look good to her neighbor. And the story was, her neighbor didn't pay for that stuff herself because her son, her adult son, would send her a handbag every now and then or buy her stuff, which is fine, right?
Right.
But she didn't know that, because she was so worried that her money was gonna, she wasn't gonna look like money.
Right.
She had none,
Mm-hmm.
and she was on a hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
So poisoned by cat food. So to me, it's like, you have to be in control of where your money is going. You have to. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know what's happening with it, it's always going to be leaving your hand. And money is a terrible master,
Oh,
but an
yes.
excellent servant.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, you're investing, you've given your money assignment, and now you and your husband are millionaires. Like, by your investing in your net worth, that's where it's supposed to work for you. Unless you want to just go and buy the Gucci and the Louis Vuitton to the point where you have nothing else because you want to look good. That means you have you have made money your master. And on the opposite end, it could be like you say, okay, I have $50 in my account, but you want to go to a ski resort
Mm-hmm.
in the next winter or whatever. You're trying to go to the Poconos, and your bank account is like, nah, you can't
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
Only because your money is basically doing whatever it wants
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't give it an assignment. That's what I
Yes.
meant. Like, I had to learn that I can't just budget in my head and say,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I got my check was $1,000. I'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Until, it's only the second week
Mm-hmm.
and of the month, and rent's not due for a while. So, but you still have to give it an assignment,
Yes.
especially if you want to get out of poverty, or even if you're not on this like, oh, I'm going to build generational wealth. Maybe you just want to buy a house, buy a car, and send your
Mm-hmm.
kids to college, or basic stuff. That's fine, but you still have to tell your money where to go. I had
Yeah.
when I first started my channel, somebody commented, "Oh, I budgeted in my head," and I said, "Well, okay." But we
Yeah.
forget things
Yes.
because life gets busy. You
Mm-hmm.
might be like, oh, shoot, I got $1,500 in my account. YOLO,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to the club, you're going to get drinks, you're going out on Saturday, you're going to the steakhouse, you're going here. And then what
Mm-hmm.
happens after the weekend's over? You have no money to get to and put gas in your car or
Mm-hmm.
get to and from work. So you can't really budget in your head because you might forget, oh, I have this electric bill that needs to be paid, or I have this debt that I have to pay back. You know what I mean? That's why I mean you have to, if you want to be successful in
Mm-hmm.
your life, in your personal life too, because lack of money management causes
Yeah.
relationship issues,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's with your romantic partner, your sister, your brother, because people might be asking you for money and you like, I ain't got none, and then they mad because they're like, but you got a job, but you working, where's your money? And it's like, I don't know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And keeping up with appearances, I really get into Chicago Med because just the storyline. But I thought about that. I said this has to be based on something that happened in real life, because
Mm-hmm.
people do go broke trying to look like their neighbor, their friend,
Mm-hmm.
So manage it so it doesn't cause you to get sick or mentally, physically, emotionally, or damage your relationships, because money is a perfect servant, but a terrible, terrible master.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What you said, it was like watching my former life, like replay in slow motion. Just, I struggled with, and I talked about this on the channel before. Growing up, we didn't have a lot. So when I got some money, I would try to fill that void by buying a bunch of stuff. Shoe, I mean, like I had stuff with tags on it. I mean, you hear people talk about it, like
Mm-hmm.
tags on it. I never
Wow.
wore it. And I didn't realize until I was good and grown and we really had like a come to Jesus moment. And this is another thing. Sometimes you have to get therapy. Sometimes you have to get counseling to really kind of dig deep to see
Yep.
what happened and resolve those issues, because I was buying stuff to fill a void. I didn't get a lot. I got second hand-me-downs and all of that. So when I got some money, I was always going to wear something new. Pocketbook, shoes, and match. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I had to go to 10 stores to find a purple leather jacket to go with my purple purse and my purple shoe. And it was because I was trying to fill this void. And when I was able to really work through that and forgive that situation, forgive my mother, forgive the environment, and move on, then I
Mm-hmm.
became what I am now, which I'm telling you, I cannot even imagine being at this point if I didn't have that come to Jesus moment. Like, girl, you about to be thrown out on the street and you got a bunch of shoes, you got a bunch of purses. And like you said, the mental and emotional aspect of it it may be hard at times to deal with, which
Yeah,
is why I said, if you got to get counseling, if you have to seek help with another person, it's okay to talk about these issues that,
it is.
that's deep down, because it affects, like you said, our money is going to move. Either we tell it where to go, or it's going to go to Neiman's and Marcus and Walmart and Louis Vuitton and, all these other places. So,
McDonald's. Big Macs used to be, when they were 2 for $5. You like, oh shoot, Big Macs 2 for $5. Oh, they got the 20-piece nuggets now. Because if
it,
you get emotional as a person, some people eat their emotions, and that's the first thing they go to.
and
You
and
know?
again and again, it's not a bad thing. Like if you want to
No, it's
get
not.
these things, but if there's no budget, like you said, an assignment to say I'm going to save up $300 so I can get my LV bag. It
Hmm.
actually made me feel so much better when I got my wallet, my LV wallet during Christmas, because it was I saved it. You get a greater appreciation for it, which also affects the
Yep.
psychological part because you'll take care of it. You will use it. Like that was my thing. Like not using the stuff that I actually had. I just got it to fill a void and it's in a closet somewhere.
Yep.
So I'm telling you, a lot of people at the Goodwill got a lot of good stuff, a lot of sharp stuff from me because I donated. I just gave it away and let that part of my life go. So yes, I totally agree with you, Tasha, 100%. And I have one more question before we get to our parting words that you have for the audience and any questions that they may have. So you gave some bonus tips at the end of the book. At the end of the book, you said in particular that using credit responsibly and getting a side hustle were good options. So can you talk a little bit about, because credit is a big one, especially, in the finance community and also side
Yeah.
hustles.
Yeah. So a little disclaimer, not everyone can use credit cards responsibly, again, for just different reasons, especially if you're currently in credit card debt. Not everybody can. I
Yes.
realize that. And I know um, it can feel like a little controversial.
Yeah.
I was in credit card debt, my husband and I, until February of 2020. I
Mm-hmm.
told him at the end, in 2019, I said, look, we're making all these changes, $5 automatic transfer, all of that. And then I said, what I'm going to do in 2020, when I get my bonus, I'm going to pay off the credit card, which at the time had a balance of like 1,200, something like that. But it was high for a long time. I was just paying whatever I could. But I
Mm-hmm.
said that bonus will help me pay it off, and then we'll be done. We won't have any more debt there. So, but then a couple months later, my credit
Mm-hmm.
score went up, right? And this was
Yeah.
after the shutdown in March, but it went up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they extended, or they increased my credit limit, which was good. And I told my husband, I said, we keep the credit card. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we just had another baby. We got two kids in daycare, and my oldest was in middle school, just going to middle school. So if anything arises, we have a credit card as a backup. And now that we're budgeting, we can budget for those little emergencies. So putting gas in the car, stuff like that. 6 months
Mm-hmm.
down the line, they upgraded our card. So now we're getting cash back rewards for every purchase. But the first thing I did was make sure I budgeted all of our credit card expenses.
Mm-hmm.
How did I do that? I said, look, we're going to pay for gas with this. We'll pay for groceries with this. We'll pay for household products. That way, we keep the card open and active. But since we already have the cash in our budget to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
that's the smart way to use it. So the credit card companies are there to get rich off of people's interest,
Mm-hmm.
clearing out debt. That's how America works, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you're using your card responsibly, you can, one, if you don't get cash rewards, you can still maintain a healthy credit score if you're looking to buy a house one day, or more houses, or get a car loan, anything like that. So I would suggest everybody, if you can use it responsibly, if you are budgeting your money the
Mm-hmm.
right way, you can use your card to pay for that pizza on Friday
Mm-hmm.
night, but you have it in your eating out
Yeah.
category. So
Mm-hmm.
you can just pay it off right away. So every single week, no matter what charges happen, we're paying it off every single week.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that. You don't have to wait for the payment due date. You can
Yeah.
pay it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's helpful because my credit score went up. I was in the 400s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Just bad. And when I started using it responsibly over the last 2 years, it has gone up. And that's one way. And having a side hustle, because look, I got terminated from that job in 2008, not because I was a bad employee, but
Yeah.
because there was an economic downturn. And then again,
Mm-hmm.
in a few years later, they eliminated my position. The company wasn't failing, and I wasn't bad at my job. They just decided we don't need these territory managers anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's just a real life example why you should always have a side income, even if you're a single mother, even if you are just a single person with no kids.
Mm-hmm.
you still should have something else to supplement your income or even be able to replace your income. And then what just happened to me this year, unfortunately, the agency owner, my boss, she died.
Yeah.
And didn't have anything in place. And I didn't own the agency.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was her contract with the insurance company, the Allstate insurance company, I couldn't just take over the business because you have to get certain certifications. So that job is done because the business is closed. So anything could happen. Sometimes if it's anything, COVID, I don't know if I could say that. Oh God. But that kind of thing happened. People lose jobs.
Yes.
You understand? And you got mouths to feed. Even if you don't have kids, you got to feed yourself. That's what I say. I think that's important because I know it's important. Because if not for these side incomes that we have, God.
Like you said, with the credit cards, this is one thing I disagree with Dave Ramsey about. If there's any future homeowners in this chat, you need credit. Unless you're all cash buyer, if you got it like that, that's good. But most of us don't have it like that, so we need to get financing. And you need, I'm here to tell you, you need some jobs. Even I learned this from Black and Blue, Erica. She said that even going into the military, sometimes they check your credit, so you need good credit. And like you said with the side hustles, Tasha, I told somebody this in a one-on-one that I was on. I said, you would be surprised at the things you're good at if you try. I did not think I would be good at YouTube. I said, I don't know how to talk on camera. And if you watch some of the earlier videos, the old edition, Shelise, a lot of us, I was off out in the thing. I mean, but if you keep at it, you keep going with it, you never know what you may be good at. I mean, a lot of people like you started a blog, you wrote a book, you have a monetized channel. That's 3 sources of income right there. And so, just step out, do your research, be consistent, and you never know. You never know what could take off. Taylor, Jasmine over at Baddies and Budgets. I mean, you never know what could happen if you just try it, right? And so I love that, Tasha. I have people in the comments talking about you are motivating them to order McDonald's because you were talking about the chicken nuggets.
Yeah, I see you, Chris. Sorry.
But yes, Tasha, before we close out, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on this live and being so open and so vulnerable. I mean, guys, if you are not followed to Tasha, please go on over at Mind Your Money and follow her. And just some parting words, Tasha, before we kind of officially close out. Do you have any parting words, especially for Amy, who's new on this journey? She's trying to, find her footing, because we all been there, right? We all been there. And I would say, Amy, definitely get Tasha's book. It's really affordable. It's a great read. It's an easy read, and it'll motivate you to stay on your journey. So, Tasha, any parting words for our audience tonight?
Amy, or anybody who needs this. When I started writing out my budget, I took out a sheet of printer paper. I didn't have a fancy budget book or anything. Take out your printer paper or a plain sheet of notebook paper and start working it from there. Every single week, I would do the same thing. And you'll see it gets better. It gets easier. And then as you progress, as you continue doing it, you'll start to see where you can change, you can increase. Maybe you'll find ways to increase your income. All of that will come. But I started with a plain sheet of paper. And get a calculator and download those banking apps, because if you have a cell phone, you have an Android or iOS, Apple, whatever you have, it's easy to start keeping track of your money there. And just don't let the fear of don't let fear hold you back. Because in 2019, I was almost like, maybe I shouldn't do this, because start a website. Who are you to start a website? That's what I kept hearing in my head. Who are you to start a blog? Who are you to write a book? About what? What do you know about anything? Those are the thoughts, and sometimes you have to override those with, I am worthy of this. I am creative. I am strong. Start blessing yourself, start affirming yourself over and over again, and then just push through that, push past it. Because the hardest part is clicking submit. I worked on that website all the way from 2019. And I didn't publish it until end of January 2020. But I worked on it for months, from September all the way to January.
Yeah.
And until I finally had the nerve to say, okay, published. But just do it. Just start with your income. Look at your what you're spending out, and print out your bank statements, and then start working it. And it'll get easier, but you're gonna have to override those thoughts that say, "Oh, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I don't look good. I don't talk. I'm weird. I'm this. I'm that." It took me a while to be comfortable in front of the camera and listen to my own voice. Like, I still get nervous and cry sometimes. Honestly, like, people out there really don't understand. It's like anxiety will try to grip you, but you just keep overriding those thoughts every day. That's all, and then it'll get easier.
Yeah. So look, it was, what a better way to close out this live, by that, I think, down to earth and practical. I love that you kept it practical and simple, right? You don't have to jump in head first. Don't expect, it to kind of be from 0 to 100 overnight. Just take your time and, just like I said, press submit on whatever journey you're on. Press submit. So Tasha, I wanted to thank you, girl. And I want to thank your babies for giving you the space and time to be here and to talk with me tonight about your book. I hope that you guys all in the comment section enjoyed this live. I'm actually thinking, should I do something like this again, and like maybe once a month or something? Even just have you on, Tasha. We could just have a topic and just talk, right? Just
that
chat.
Would be nice.
Just a chat, because I think that having these conversations is taking down, like you said, this fear or the stigma of budgeting and finance in general. And it doesn't have to be that way. So I hope that you guys love it. Make sure you like the video and go follow our sis Tasha if you haven't purchased her book. And she also has a lot of savings challenges, especially for children. And you'll see her little babies in her videos with her savings challenges. Go on over to her website, which is Tasha Loves Life, right, Tasha? Is it Tasha Love Life?
Yeah, TashaLovesLife.com.
Yeah, let me type that down in here in the comment
No
section.
hitting.
Loveslife.com. I put it in the comment section, TashaLovesLife.com. Make sure you're going over and support her. And if you need any help, if you feel like you need an extra push in the right direction, send us both a DM. We'll be more than happy to help you guys. And also just, a plug-in for the mini investing trackers that ends tomorrow. So if you want to take advantage of it, I know a lot of you wanted to, a lot of you purchased. So thank you. A lot of you purchased Tasha's book right here. Thank you guys for supporting her. And when you're done with it, pay it forward. Give it to your spouse to read. Give it to your children. Tasha, your junior investy bestie. Yes, girlfriend is in this. Okay, just pass it. You always talk about generational wealth, right? We gotta like pass
on knowledge too.
Yes. And like I said, it's a great read. Make sure you guys go on over and support our sis Tasha and all the things that she's doing for her channel. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys. Yvette and Chris, Shy, all of you guys, all of you, D, all the D's, because there's like a bunch of D's, Gab, all of you guys. Thank you for being here tonight. If you, like I said, follow Tasha, please follow Tasha. Let's get her subscriber count up. And yeah, that's it. Anything else, Tasha, before we click off the live?
I appreciate you for inviting me. Thank you. And thank you to everyone. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys for being here. I have her website in the comments section if you wanted to go on and support her. And let me put her channel one more time. Mind Your Money. I'm putting in the comments. And there you go. All right, everybody. You guys have a wonderful week. Tasha, thank you so much again, sis. I was telling, before I go, I was telling somebody, they were like, okay, so you're the Oprah of the investing world. I said, yes, but Tasha is my guest. Okay. That's my bestie right there.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that.
So all of you have a blessed night. Have a wonderful evening. Tasha, I'll see you in your next video. And you guys have a good one, okay? Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.